All right, y'all, we have women's basketball coming to the planet of Brooklyn, and we're going to preview the Women's Champions Classic. But first, we had to bring in one of our good family members over at Shea Butter FC, Sky, who wants y'all to know why Azzi Fudd might have been the goal overall in Dallas. We're going to talk about that on a very special episode of Gotta Get Up. Gotta get up, gotta get up, gotta get up. Hey, women's basketball fans, welcome to Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans brought to you by Black Rosie Media and hosted by L Ayala. Listen, Brian, we got to update that. We got to get you on there. We got to get a new one. But y'all, I'm L Ayala, founder of Black Rosie Media. Joining me, as always, on Gotta Get Up is Brian Fleurantin. He is also the curator of our newsletter. And y'all should definitely subscribe to the Women's Basketball Roundup. And as I mentioned in our intro, we got Sky from Shea Butter FC joining us. And y'all, we're going to talk some women's basketball. Now, y'all are like, Azzi Fudd, New York Liberty definitely don't have the first pick, let alone a good pick in the upcoming draft. So why are we talking about this on Gotta Get Up? Well, first of all, Brian and I are here, so there you go. Anytime it's us two, it's a party. But also, of course, this will be the second year, Brian, of the Women's Champions Classic held at the home, clearly, the mecca of women's basketball. I mean, you know, of course, other than UConn, other than Knoxville, Tennessee, sadly, painfully to say, other than Las Vegas, at least, or Minnesota, or even Seattle, when it comes to WNBA championships. But despite all of that, the mecca of women's basketball is right in Brooklyn.
We got that one, and that one go ride for a long time.
Listen, can't tell me nothing. All right, listen. Oh man, listen, Connecticut on the pro side ain't got one, so there you go.
They don't.
I'm just saying, facts are facts. You know what I mean? We don't have to talk about NCAA, but you know. And there's actually some news. Apparently, the Rockets have entered the chat. So I didn't mention the Comets because they are the GOATs. I don't care how y'all slice it. I don't care how many games were played in the season, how many games were played in the finals. Them Houston teams, y'all, won not one, but two. And the way they ain't finished there because then they went for thirds. And the third plate wasn't enough. They got 4 in a row. And until you get 4, you can't even start to compare yourself to Houston. And then when you get 4, until you get 4 in a row, I don't even know what we're talking about. We haven't even seen another team get 3, Sky.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah. As an Aces fan, that pains me.
Oh, well. I did know that you were an Aces fan. Again, this is Gotta Get Up.
Yeah, I used to be a
New York Liberty fan.
I used to be a throwback, old school New York Liberty fan.
Oh, we know what. Talk about it.
Yeah, we've a Becky Hammond fan, Vicky Johnson fan.
Okay. You get a pass. We're gonna keep,
that's how I became an Aces fan. If you remember Aces,
right. I'm not gonna treat her, Brian, like I do when Huerta's on here and just do one of these. I'm not gonna do one of these. Whoops, oops, hit the wrong button. My bad. Here we go. My bad. Wait, oops. No. My hand slipped.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got some I didn't call y'all gentrified New York Liberty. I got love for y'all.
Oh, wow. Okay, bow. Let's go. Let's go on and get to this before
I know before I get kicked off before I'm like
listen, Yeah, Damien, that's what we were just kind of talking about before we started cutting up real hard. But yeah, the Rockets interested in buying the Connecticut Sun team. Been saying that the team should have moved to Boston, but Engelbert disagreed with it. Apparently, that was Stern, right? Or let me not Stern, Silver. I took it way back.
We old.
Whoa. Yeah,
Well, you know why? You know why? Also because Brian, as you know, I've been reading Black Ball, right? That book is hella good. So that's why I literally just read before we got on here. I was reading a page and it was talking about, consultant David Stern. And I was like, oh, snap. Yes, because it was back in the day. This is a story about the activism of NBA players in the 70s and change and how that changed the complete landscape and narrative of the NBA or the MNBA. So anyway, that's why Stern was on my mind. Great book. We are definitely going to talk about that. But let's talk about what maybe was the rub here, and then we'll get into our topic, the topic du jour, which of course we're going to talk about UConn's Azzi Fudd. But Brian, break this down for us. So we've talked about it a little bit on the show, but what was going on with Connecticut and why they could not sell to Boston, which has kind of opened now this gate for perhaps Houston?
Yeah, so a while back, Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, he was doing an upfront with NBC, and he was asked about the Connecticut Sun sale. And the reporter mentioned to him, why not Boston, since Boston is right there? And Silver basically explained that if you're going out of market, which is what the Sun would be per their parlance, it becomes an NBA issue. So the Connecticut Sun want to move to Boston, but they are 75 miles from Uncasville to Boston, Mass. And that's where the NBA is like, you're past the market per se. So that means that they have real control over what the ownership sale would look like. And Houston, led by Tillman Fertitta, Rockets owner, who's been there for a couple decades now. So he's familiar with the NBA side, and he's been making a push to purchase the team. Initial reporting had Houston's offer at $250 million. And the controversy comes into play when the Boston reporting that we got back in like November, maybe even late October, it was $325 million for the team. And then $100 million for a dedicated Connecticut Sun practice facility. And that seemingly was rejected by the league. I'll say the league. I'll combine the WNBA and NBA. So when I say league in this context, I'm gonna include them both.
Like NBAE, as I sometimes say, NBA Enterprises.
Yeah, so NBA Enterprises basically said no to that. There was another story a few weeks back where the state of Connecticut wanted to purchase a team themselves. They wanted to use, I think, pension funds and a bunch of combination of things to sort of finance the team and move them to Hartford. That part hasn't gotten any traction, and there hasn't been any reporting from the folks from Connecticut about that since. And then until today, we got the reporting this morning from Ramona Shelburne and Alexa Philippou of ESPN stating that Houston is in advanced talks to purchase the Sun and relocate them to Houston for the 2027 season. They haven't, the Lex and Ramona's reporting didn't have a dollar figure attached to what a potential sale would be, but apparently it's one that they think will sort of like be amenable to the Mohegan tribe, the current Sun ownership's sort of desire. And then that would be enough to move the team in 2027 from Uncasville, Connecticut to Houston, Texas. And then I guess the sort of big thing, we talked about it a while back, we've really seen the NBA enterprise part of the NBA. Like we talked about the org chart a couple of days ago, last week, where now we see the NBA fully exerting its influence on the WNBA side in a way that we haven't seen since, Sky, you mentioned the old school, where it's like back then,
Stern days.
Yeah, back in the Stern days, every WNBA team was directly owned by an NBA
Directly.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of that start to change when Orlando sort of had to move to Connecticut because the Orlando ownership group sold to the Mohegans.
Right.
And that was a part of the whole bottom falling out, which is why a lot of people have not liked this MNBA ownership pathway because we've been there before. But the argument that I was making, Sky, on the last episode that Brian alluded to when we kind of talked about this is, but they show is coming back now that the money is flowing. Yep. They show is coming back.
They knocking on the doors.
Money is flowing.
They knocking on doors.
Swore up and down, including out in Houston, that the reason the overall company was failing was because of women's basketball. If you don't already follow Professor David Berry, who has done a lot of work talking about this, and also Cheryl Reeve. I've quoted her on this topic, but she breaks that down, specifically that piece about Houston. She knows the history of Cleveland, etc. So Damien, yes, we did see that. And we're not gonna get too much into this, but I do want to read this because I think it's a very interesting query. If the Liberty are worth 400 million net worth wise, if the Sun should move to Hartford, then fine, but move it to Boston, make the uniform green with white so the WNBA can have a Boston LA rivalry. Now, this is if there were ever an argument to send to Kathy Engelbert, this is what it should be, because we know that she is obsessed, right, with rivalries and always brings up the Boston LA rivalry as an example of what New York and the Aces should be, because the WNBA without that rivalry, whether it's organic or not, is not going to be viable. Meanwhile, the valuations keep going sky high. Every time we see expansion fees, those are coming in double, even triple what the last expansion fee was. And on that note, this is something that I'm going to be following. We're not going to get into it too much because I need to do some more number crunching. We're looking at some things, but if the sale to Houston, if it does come to fruition, but if the sale of Connecticut to anywhere, especially a market directly connected to an NBA ownership, if that comes in lower than what we were hearing was on, was on the table from Boston to Connecticut, then the league, or excuse me, NBA Enterprises has a lot of explaining to do, because all that business 101 people always shout at us because we talk about women's sports. Business 101 is that you take the best deal for your investors, because you got to run them that money back plus some. That's like they over here like, run me my money. And so if they take a deal that's worth less, how is that working through the board of governors? Because that's in direct conflict of this business 101 and the entire principles of investment, or so we're told, until men are involved, and then it's strategic to maybe take less money. But when women are involved, it's because y'all don't know nothing. I'm just saying.
Wait, I got a question though. But didn't Adam Silver basically say that Boston was too close in the market?
Yes.
And I'm like, with the Connecticut, and then he said Hartford is not in the market of where you can relocate. So what is the market? Put the market on the board.
Sky, they won't. Yeah. To stay on that, I think in the interview he did, I think it was with Front Office Sports in September. I think basically the only way to essentially keep the Sun in Connecticut is if someone bought the team and literally kept them in the Mohegan Sun Arena, which defeats the purpose of selling the team, because you in the great leveling up of the 2020s in the WNBA, the Mohegan Sun Arena, I've been in it a couple of times. It's nice. Like I enjoyed myself in there, but compared to the state-of-the-art facilities in brand new Golden State, soon to be coming Toronto, Mohegan Sun, despite the Tribe's best efforts to sort of like make the place a family welcoming atmosphere, it just doesn't have the size capacity as far as people coming in. And you, as an ownership group, you want to get these sort of like high class, these first class suites, these beautiful views, site prices, so you can really maximize and sort of spend big money on the team and games and things like that. So Mohegan Sun, despite the Tribe's best efforts to honestly, they kept the W afloat when all the men owners dipped out in the 2000s when the economy crashed. Like, hey, it's the Mohegan Drive. They held it down in the Northeast for a while, and even when New York changed owners, it's, hey, the Sun folks still putting their best foot forward, still giving folks good product to watch, and now they're sort of being bullied by Kathy and Adam to be like, oh, how about you give it to my man Tillman at a discount? Do us that solid without any benefit to it for them.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy work. So we're gonna get into that, but you know what? Kind of tangentially related is, as far as teams that have been dinged for their ability to keep up with facilities, as far as teams that have proven year after year that although they're always a draft lotto team, they never make smart draft choices. But perhaps Sky, that is until now, has all of the pain that we have endured because of the Dallas Wings by way of Tulsa, by way of Detroit.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, come on now. Y'all know I'm going to take you to church. Okay, let's go. Are the days of suffering coming to their end? Have we stayed loyal to the path for just this moment when the one and only Azzi Fudd out of the University of Connecticut would be made available for the Dallas Saints? I said the Dallas Wings, yes, Lord, who once again, Lord Jesus, have come through the bouncing wheel as the number one team to pick in the WNBA. Hallelujah. Amen. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I mean, I would hope so, because, they've been bad for years. Forever. I mean, let's not word to the Detroit Shock, who were a phenomenal Trill franchise that got one. They got three,
I think, right? Detroit
three champions.
I think it's
as a San Antonio Silver Stars fan, I remember one. So yeah, so I remember that. So but yeah, they have been bad. They haven't been good. And they've lost so many games. Like, I don't think people understand. They've been bad forever. And they've had, we're talking about Dallas, they've had several phenomenal players, but they've been terrible, terrible, terrible. So, I mean, we're talking about, I think when we talk about this draft, is that where you want me to go with this? When we're talking about this draft, this is an opportunity. I think people are thinking about who the draft prospects in this upcoming draft as they're going to fit for whatever current team states, right? But like, I'm a system engineer, so I think of everything at the same time and then individual parts, right? The reality is, with the new CBA, most of the league is in free agency. So if you're a very bad team, listen to me. If you're a bad team, this is your opportunity to fix your franchise.
Snatch
blow it up. Snatch
it all up.
Snatch it up.
Snatch
so if you're Dallas and you've had a terrible team, you haven't won 10 games. You've struggled to win 10 games out of 40. That's insane. For multiple, not one season, multiple seasons.
Damn.
Terrible shooting. Have had players like Enrique have to shoot out of their mind at a high clip. It's still lose game.
Just for a chance, right? Just for a chance, not for a win. Just for a chance to win.
I was in LA at the Sparks game when Paige scored 44, and they still lost. I watched that happen. And when we talk about this current roster, the guards, most of them can't consistently shoot. The forwards are a journey. I could see what the system Chris Kokonis was trying to run. I think that still is the system they're trying to run. But wait. But it's not run correctly.
Okay.
So seeing that Jose Fernandez got hired and hearing that he possibly was the option, the vision initially, right? But whatever with the contract at USF, they didn't want to buy out, whatever. I could see how it could work. There were times you could see, oh, this is what it's supposed to be. But let's not yoga our way through, free flow our way through what the basketball plan is. I think if we're talking about, okay, so if we're looking at this current roster, most people can go, except for who is your consistent shooter person, stay consistent, Paige, Beckers. Beyond that, I mean, Enrique was not healthy for chunks of the season. Even when she was, it did not necessarily fit with both of them. And then Maddie Seagrass, she was playing on one leg, but she was this consistent 3-point shooter. And that, but there were games when I watched all three of them actually be consistent, and they still couldn't win because they couldn't defend. So at the end of the day, you need a new team, new roster. You can pick people that you got, but the concept of people thinking bigs are the only way is insane to me. In a, when we have a draft where you can effectively reset your roster, you can build around whoever you want to build around. And honestly, with the number one pick again, you can see it as 1A, 1B people to build around. Not to mention when we talk about schemes in the league, most teams are running with 3 guards. They run it with a point guard, whether it's a point forward guard, whatever, like Alyssa Thomas, or you running with 2 shooting guards or 2-point guards. Somebody can shoot. Paige is a combo guard. So she plays point guard, shooting guard.
Yeah, I think she's like a genuine, genuine natural.
Right, yeah. Natural two.
Or like you said, 2-way guard.
And she also can be flexed to forward because she's so tall. And when UConn was all hurt, I think over the last few years, UConn's been super hurt. So Azzi, heck, even last year, Sarah Strong had to play out of position. And so you're also playing center and forward because she's tall enough. But she's a combo guard. So I know people are like, well, why would you draft Azzi with any bigs? You can go get bigs in free agency. There are several bigs out there that you can throw stacks of money at, to go get. It's a lot of young guards, young forwards they have on their roster who fit kind of the system. They want to run fast. Honestly, there were times I was like, are y'all trying to run a Connecticut system? But anyway, they run fast. And then also when you look at Awak Kira, I think she's actually doing all that stuff. They've been through the song and dance of drafting a big and whatever. You know what I'm saying? When the thing about Azzi is she's a guard. She's a 2-way guard. She's a combo guard also. She can run point. If people question Azzi, if you didn't watch her when she was a kid in high school, actually I watched Azzi, then that's how I found out about Paige. She was a dog. If people used to call her like the guard version of Maya Moore. If you don't, it's free 99 it's on the YouTube. You can go watch.
I mean, honestly, Sky, we're gonna have to stop there because I just need y'all to understand. I need you to hear what we talking about. The guard version of Maya Moore is insane.
It's insane. Yeah,
but I would say it's inverted because where you might say Maya Moore, especially by today's standards, was undersized as far as her height. Yeah. Definitely not her build. Come on. Yeah, but that's a whole nother thing. But Azzi is probably at the higher end of the average for most guards now. So
she's bigger than most guards, isn't she?
No, on the higher side of average. The height keeps going up, but she's still on the right side of that curve, is what I'm saying. Right. You're right. She is taller than average, but not by a lot. But she's not as it's coming up. But that's what I'm saying. That's the part that's crazy work because I mentioned Maya's physique very intentionally because Azzi is also, I think, deceptively strong. You could tell Maya was going to push somebody through. You didn't know if her personality would allow it. Right. The body was capable. Right. And Azzi is in personality somewhat, and in her build, I feel like her build is almost a little bit more subtle, Brian. But she is that strong. And so what Sky is on here talking about, and Riri Monet saying Dallas needs a perimeter defender, 3-point shooter, and bigs. Draft Azzi, get bigs in free agency. But not only is Sky saying that this is what Dallas should do, but in a little bit, Brian, we're going to break down why Sky thinks this was the plan overall and that Paige is a happy coincidence because of a lot of the things that we talked about. But Brian, before we hop in there, I mean, we've had this conversation when it came to Seattle. I know you joined us for some of those talks over on Tempestagi Talk, but the best available versus the best for your squad, that was a conversation. And I don't know that Seattle, I don't think they missed the pick. I just think the pick didn't suit their playing style. But what Sky is saying here is that you don't even have to really worry about that, because you'll know before free agency well, in theory, right? You'll know, especially if you want to take Fudd, like you should know, and you can know because you have the number 1 pick. You don't have to tell everybody and won't, but you know 100% that nobody can move that pick for you. So you can set up things around whoever you take in the draft and then use that in free agency as a guidepost to how you want your team to run in 26 and beyond.
Yeah, and I think for Dallas, as you guys mentioned, the Wings have been bad for so long, and so many great players have left that building. Alicia, Skylar Diggins, I don't count this.
Yeah,
Kate, so many.
Azure.
Yeah, I was exactly. That's who I was. Azure.
Another person that left.
Marina.
Mabry, right?
Yeah, Satu. Can't forget about Satu.
That was a big one. Thank you, Unrivaled. Satu.
We got that live and then color that day.
Left them Jordans in Arlington.
Yeah, so many players.
Yes.
And I think now for Kurt Miller, Jose Fernandez, and this leadership group, this period really is a chance to reset a decade of just dysfunction and incompetence and bad luck and bad breaks for your franchise. You got the
re-added this one. Can't forget this.
Yeah, Veronica Martin. I saw her in my head. I thought we said that. Yeah.
There was one player they didn't protect in the draft. Was it Carla Light that they didn't protect in the expansion draft last year? There was some player that they didn't protect in the expansion draft.
I don't remember. But they've been messing up. Is the point? Yeah. The point is that they knew they true. To fumble in the dang pick.
And I think now for
alongside Dallas, Indiana up until recently.
Yeah. And now for the Wings, I think it's a situation where you have a chance to really reset the franchise. You have a new arena dedicated for yourself coming in about a year or two.
In Dallas proper too.
Dallas proper, not in the outskirts of Arlington. You get to be in the city proper.
Well, I guess they'll be playing. I don't know about if the facility is in the same place, to be honest. But the point is they'll be much more Dallas like proper Dallas.
And now you've hit the first lotto pick with Paige. Oh my God, what was that? Oh, I almost said the wrong name. With Paige Beckers. Woo boy, I almost walked into discourse there.
You're about to get posterized by the internet.
Oh man, you hit with Paige Beckers, and she delivered everything and then some. And she looks like to be a generational figure for the league going into the 2030s and beyond. Now with another number 1 pick, and as you mentioned, Erica, they control the entire chessboard, so to speak, because depending on where they go at number 1, that has so many knockdown effects for teams that are at the top of the league bracket, like Minnesota. Who's available, who's going to be available for them could dictate how they prepare for free agency if they get wind of what Dallas is doing at number 1, because if they lose some bigs in expansion draft, if our fam is there number 2, maybe I go with that if I'm sure Reeve. Or if I need another guard to lead into the future, I go with second guard that's not selected first overall kind of thing. There are so many knockdown options for what Dallas does in the draft, and even Seattle, which we'll get to later at Tempestashi Talk later in the winter. They have things to be mindful of as well too. So it's so many different.
But I think. But I was gonna say with Azzi, she is ready to go right now and can fit anybody's team. And as a shooter and defender, because she shoots so fast, right? Her release is so quick, like you can't guard that. And so, like, no matter where, if she's a third guard, second guard, whatever, however she's used, and the fact that she can ball handle and has handle, like you can build around that with Paige. And then who's guarding that? Because then from a gravity standpoint, if you struggle to deal with Sonia Citron and Paige Beckers, who are both not fully in their pro bodies yet, what you gonna do with Azzi? But a lot of these guards in this class who are pretty big, like how are you gonna be able to handle them once they get up to the speed of the W, right? So you aren't losing And you honestly don't have time for somebody to develop because you got to put booties in the seats in 2027 in your new stadium. Like we got to keep it real. Like who can you throw
Yeah.
up there on the big screen to say where people of Dallas are like, I'm gonna buy season tickets to come watch Paige and whoever and the rest of the crew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think I want to get to what Damien is saying here, Sky, because Damien is saying I see that the Dallas Wings are picking Lauren Betts as first, or we'll see if AZ Fudd gets picked first. The thing, and that I think ties into honestly what both of y'all just said, is that Lauren Betts is a great player if you know your team needs size.
Right.
The thing is that I think the point that we're trying to make here, Damien, is that AZ Fudd is probably especially in her position and how she will be utilized, a more pro-ready option, and can compete already with the people that she'll be guarding and having to go up against offensively at her position and her size, then I would argue a Lauren Betts. Because if the slate is clean, as it is virtually for every team, Dallas has a lot of young pieces. Indiana has 2. Indy can have a freaking field day if they want in free agency. Vegas is looking a little, I'm very curious what Vegas is going to do. But, there are teams where because everyone but maybe 1 or 2 players is a free agent, they can have in mind. Is really only Dallas can do this 100%. Dallas does not have to worry at all about their draft pick. It's locked in at 1. And unless they know they're going to move it, they can decide now who they want to pick. There are certain players that we don't know definitively, but we know Fudd is going. We know Betts is going. We know Flaugier Johnson Wright is going. Like these are players that they can have on their list, and I'm sure they have all kinds of systems and things of that nature. You remember Kurt Miller's over here now, and so I think even in some of the moves he made last season, right, Sky, he was making them knowing that he's going to lose it probably upward of 2 players in the expansion draft. Or drafts. I don't know. Is it going to be 1 combined?
Right.
Who knows? We don't know. Well, CBA's got to get done anyway. But the point is that, he can play around now because the roster, who are they going to pick? Everyone's a free agent. You can only pick 1 person off free agency. So it's just whoever has a guaranteed contract. And once you make those players available, I think Kurt Miller can manage his vision. Let's just say it kindly that way. He can manage his vision if maybe Diamond Miller gets taken off the board, right? Etc. And that was a move. But also, if Diamond Miller stays, that's a great piece to build around because she has versatility. She has that speed, Sky, that you were talking about. So I don't know that you need to take a Lauren Betts because in my estimation, Sky, if at her position, Lauren Betts goes up against pretty much anyone else that's got at least 1 year in her position, I'm probably taking that other player. And that's not even being disrespectful. That's just where the game is at that position.
Right. She needs to evolve. Like she got to develop. Like bigs have to take time to develop. I think in particular with her, she would be great as a Las Vegas Ace. I would love to see if they haven't developed that. Sorry.
Listen, going to the way you close to me hitting the button. This is a podcast for New York Liberty fans first and foremost.
I mean, I don't know what y'all are running. I don't know what the Liberty are running. But yeah, like even for Minnesota, some of those places with an established big already. Mm-hmm. So if she's playing, she has somebody to mentor, and then a place that is proven they can develop bigs. Right now, Dallas needs a big that is ready to go.
And they have not proven they're good at development. They don't keep their draft picks long enough to develop them. That's the problem. And there's never a vet to develop them. So Lauren Betts, again, is just probably not where I see this going. Chiming in here saying after listening to Kurt's interviews, it seems like he wants to play fast and 5 out. So I don't necessarily think he's looking at Lauren, but a Jonquel Jones type You know, that would be crazy because that's how she was successful in New York. So anyway, I think it's going to be interesting. But Sky, again, this is the part I really want you to break this down, because you sent me this message and I was like, you know what? It might not be as crazy as I thought at first. Why do you say that this was the opportunity for Dallas that they always had in mind? And that, again, Paige Beckers, them getting Paige Beckers at one the year prior, was just perhaps a happy coincidence. But maybe does an even more, it just solidifies even more why Azzi Fudd should go number one to Dallas.
I mean, but like, so if I watched, because I had a group of friends, we were watching a bunch of college games. I watched a lot of UConn because I don't want nobody thinking I'm like a UConn stan or anything like that. Like, no. Much love to Georgia Tech. I love just like college basketball. That said, I noticed he was at games last year watching, and even when Paige wasn't playing, he wasn't watching. And I was like, why is he watching? And I mean, potential prospects, right? But if you even think about the system he ran in the Connecticut Sun, I mean, it's similar. And if I'm trying to compare like Paige, and I thought about this in like one of their last few games they were playing, Paige was playing like as a point forward. Like Azzi is like the prototype of this type of player he likes to put in the system. So I always thought that last year they were potentially trying to get another pick to potentially even get her if she was to come out, because you could get a veteran big at some other time. And because they're, as a backcourt, I would like to see, from the statistics I've seen, they're probably one of the best college not just women's or just men's college backcourts in history. They're proven players that can slot into 1 and 3 positions. They're both can play 1 through 3. Maybe the little 4, a little bit of 4. Don't get heavy. A little bit of 4,
just not a whole lot, but a little bit.
Yeah, but with this positionless basketball, you know what I'm saying, you have an opportunity to build around 2 people that play well together, that can play in any system, that can play ISO, that can play structure, that can have high D-ball IQ, that you can work with them both. And so getting the second, watching the WNBA forever, watching how this lottery, magically you get the number 1 pick again. Reminded me of back in the day. Even with the Aces, they magically got back to back to back. Seems like a coincidence in this time, But anyway, I think it is part of the plan. It is working out. But yeah, if it happens, it happens. And then from a marketing standpoint, they both got motion. You making money.
Yeah, obviously we know now it was a kind of a slow burn, not necessarily surprising to many. But Paige and Azzi Fudd are not just former teammates, but they are in a relationship. And we've seen that in different women's leagues that there has been prioritization of perhaps or recruitment, trying to get couples together, especially ones that work well together. And I think it's fair to say, Brian, that what we saw from Azzi Fudd, finally a healthy Azzi Fudd on the backstretch of UConn's championship run, and a healthy Paige Beckers as well, was as advertised. It just came later than anyone expected, but it was as advertised.
Yeah, and I think being able to pair college teammates when they've had the success that they've had, that Paige and Azzi have had, it's so meaningful because the chemistry is instantly built in already, because they know how each other work, they know how what the rhythm is like and all those kind of things. And I think especially for a franchise that's starting over in Dallas, I remember when Paige got drafted last year, she said that, we might be down for a little bit, but we're here to compete. We want to really get to where we want to go. And I think having a player who succeeded in big games like an Azzi Fudd has really been successful in high stakes basketball, all these different kind of contexts, I think that's super valuable. And I feel like that would help Dallas if they want to, if the goal is being a contender by a 2028, for example, you have You have two foundational pieces.
Yeah, that's a pretty good start.
Already. Yeah, that's a good start. And hey, I'd want to play with that dynamic duo if I want to expand my reach. If I want to sort of be, if I'm a free agent. Oh, I might have a little bit higher profile if I help the dynamic duos succeed and go on a playoff run, because more people are going to be tuning in to watch them. They're going to see me. I'm going to ball out. I'm going to solve a need in the front court that the Wings have been missing for a good while. It all comes together and it all fits. And I think especially because they're both malleable as cards, like they're both unselfish. They both know how to play. They do everything really well. So I think if I'm a free agent, I look at that, I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen success of it in high stakes college basketball with me there, and Paige is already fully adapted to WNBA ball pretty quickly, and she can score from all over the court. It's, oh, this could be something that I really want to be a part of, and why don't I make the trip down there? I can turn the Wings around. I can really be successful. I can be in a new environment, in a new context, and get my buckets, because as one of the comments mentioned, Jose is probably going to have them a little bit more spaced out. There's going to be more cohesion as compared to what Chris Koklanis did. And I think for the Wings, last year's failures of how the vets really weren't able to mesh for Koklanis. So then after they got like a rash of injuries, like Indiana had like 1 million injuries and Dallas had 1 million injuries -1 essentially.
Right.
So they were rocked by injuries too. Now that you have a young, hungry group coming back whenever basketball is back, they're ready to compete. They've got a dynamic duo that's ready, some good free agent acquisition pickups, deep bench draft picks like Zaja James from last year. Like you have a bit of a foundation here. And I think that's where, as a team, they might be able to be like, oh, I might be able to compete for like be in like the 8-9 kind of seed kind of thing. So it's like, oh, big jump, and then next year bigger jump. So I would say that if I'm a free agent or I'm just like a player looking for a new atmosphere, that would be a good place to go. Like the Wings historically have been bad, but hey, it only takes one person to reverse a losing streak. And
yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think it goes along with this comment though from Fritz Carlson, but is it enough to overturn and to use Fritz Carlson's term here, counterbalance the poor reputation of the Wings organization? And this is something that I rant about, Sky, on this program a lot, because my thing is that with Dallas, yes, GMs and coaches have come and gone, but the ownership has not changed, and neither have the challenges that the organization seems to be facing. Now, Kurt Miller coming in was an interesting choice. I think Kurt is probably, when it's all said and done, has the opportunity, I think, to be a more successful executive than he was executive coach.
Yeah, right.
I think and things are already shaping up that way in Dallas. I do think, though, the Chris experiment was an interesting choice, but that was remedied and corrected. But I like this question because is Paige and Azzi combo enough if the ownership isn't willing to make some significant changes to how the organization has historically been run and operated?
So I'll say this. They actually now have they're going to get a facility right this coming year for training. So that's a big deal. They're not training at SMU or whatever random facilities across the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Then they'll get a for real bigger, stadium. So, like, again, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a franchise that's been terrible, and all you other franchises that are terrible.
Hey, we got to work through some. Indiana looks like they on the come-uppins. Right, yeah. Dallas maybe might join them, so that leaves Chicago.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to fix your stuff, but because most of the league is in free agency.
Yep.
But at least with Dallas, they have a new training facility. They have new facility to play in Dallas Central, because that is different from Fort Worth. If you've never been to Texas, like that may not. Yeah. But anyway, that's a big difference. Or with playing in Arlington, it's a big difference. So if you got an opportunity to reset the franchise, do it and do it correctly. I also say, with both of them, because they have so much gravity when they're on the court, You a superstar, want to be superstar. You got visions of superstar. You were gonna get the ball. They aren't selfish superstars. Like literally, Gina Auriemma has had to tell them to shoot the ball.
Shoot more.
Shoot more. Like you begging two shooting guards, combo guards to shoot more.
To shoot.
And they're
and Paige
accurate.
has. I loved that for her in the W.
Yeah. So can you imagine?
Dallas was like, if you don't shoot, we really could.
The other thing is Azzi's shooting at a 50-50, 100 clip. So let me put this down for you. So I remember Cheryl Reeves got on an interview and said, well, it was a press conference and explained. She was talking about Paige, but she referred to Nafisha Collier, and she was basically like, she had to tell Nafisha she needs to score. She needs to have a vision of putting up 23 shots a game because they need her to put that many to win. So let's say you did that for Azzi at 24 for the sake of counting. Let's say she took 12 threes, and hit half of them. That's 6 times 3. That's 18 points. And she did that shooting twos. 6 times 2, that's 12. That's 30 points a game. Now, not to say she's going to have to put up that many shots on a team when you got other people, but people wish to hit 30 once in a lifetime in the W. So if you could do that, even just hitting 20 a night, that's getting
and listen, you don't have to
20.
sell us on Azzi. That's not the issue here. We're talking about is Dallas going to be able to bottle that? That's the problem.
But I mean, hey, Indiana is not Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Heck, the Liberty finally won a championship. You know,
right? And what did both organizations do before their run? Indiana didn't make their first final since what, 2014? I think it's something like that. 14, 15, somewhere around there. But they made it pretty dang close and took the Aces down to the wire. But hello, this is what all of those organizations did. The Fever, ahead of Caitlin Clark and her draft, they took Lynn Dunn out of semi-retirement. For those who don't know, Coach Dunn was the pioneer behind Indiana in their first championship run.
Yeah, people forget they won a championship.
She recruited Stephanie White and then did it again to bring her on as a head coach. And then once they had Paige and Aaliyah the year before, then Dunn stepped aside again to get a sharp and whether you agree with what she's done or not, we can say that Amber Cox has been very involved of the positive side of the women's sports boom. She has been with organizations on the come up and has been able to be a part of organizations that have harnessed that. These are intentional things that Indiana did. Now, whether they will be fruitful or not, they started getting serious about basketball in every department. The same thing happened in New York. No more Dolan, no more Westchester. The Size put together a team and they retained Kia Clark. Well, actually, Kia Clark and Jonathan Kolb were doing what they could do even before then. But that's the difference. And yes, Kurt Miller is here. But if Greg Bibb, if this is indicative, if Kurt Miller and getting Paige and getting rid of Chris is indicative of a new era of turning the page for Dallas, then I love that for Dallas. I love that for Paige and potentially for Azzi and anyone else coming through. But for the sake of every other player from Dallas who did not see this turn in the tide, the question is still valid, considering Greg Bibb is still there, if this is enough. And they're going to have to prove it. So it's not about Azzi and Paige. And we're going to talk about Azzi a little bit more. And your mic's is super hot, fam. I sent you a message, but now I got to let you know. Yeah. But we got to talk about, is it enough? I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm just saying Greg still has more work to do to regain trust in women's basketball because Dallas has tanked. But the question is, in this podcast, Sky, is if I don't know if I want to say all of it was intentional because it's been pretty choppy. And if y'all hit some bumps, you ain't need to, just to be extra. But could this be part of the master plan of Dallas? Was Azzi Fudd always the goal? And why I want, and we didn't really hit on this when I asked the last time, so I want to come back to it, all of us. But why is this particular time in the WNBA a critical time to bring in someone like a Kurt Miller who knows this league, who's been a part of the growth strategy conversations, or at least been impacted by them? That is because we knew, anyone who didn't know or was surprised that the WNBPA opted out of the last collective bargaining agreement, y'all just haven't been paying attention. So if you knew they were going to opt out, then you knew that there was going to be a negotiation. And if you had the wherewithal to see the trend of veterans signing 1-year deals or short-term deals, even if they re-upped, if you could put all of that together, and if I can, I'm pretty sure that Kurt Miller could do the same. But you are making the argument that if an organization was able to read all those tea leaves, that it would be Fudd and not Beckers who you'd want to build a program around. And that's what I want you to get into.
Well, no, not necessarily. I always said it's always one. My thought process on it is whoever, it's not that. It is the reality that if you potentially get the number 1 pick again, or you get a high pick, high up, because keep in mind, the lottery accounts for the balls for your record. How many balls you get in the lottery are dictated on how bad your record is. So if
over two seasons.
So before you only won 6 games or something like that.
I don't
Did
know.
I play more this year?
You ain't us. No, this is a podcast for New York Liberty.
Don't be you and us. Okay, don't do that. Whoa. All I can say,
listen, if it's after 2020, don't be you and us. We ain't no lottery team. Listen,
no, but
we keep our loss column clean. We keep our loss column clean.
No, what I'm thinking is, for a team like this, if you get the number 1 pick, you're building. It's not a number 1 pick to put beside Paige where they are a role player, random, whoever. You're building around 2 players. You got 1A, 1B. So you have 2 transformers. Everybody's thinking about this draft for all the teams in the league, in this first round in particular, who are in the lottery, as you're putting in a player that's just random to fit as a team as is, without accounting for the CBA is going to totally manipulate who is on rosters. So even for like a Seattle, even for the Liberty, who's going to be on the team? So we got to keep it real, particularly because you have a new coach too. You got to keep in mind, and you got 2 expansion teams that can throw money too. So it's like you can't see it like, oh, in the case of Dallas, oh, they're just trying to build around Paige. It's building around Paige and whoever else is the number 1 draft pick. So if you have the opportunity to build around 2 people, for real, but being mindful that you as an organization have to put booties in the seats in 2027. And you need to be able to market. You need Dallas people who live in Dallas, Texas, to want to pay for season tickets. As a person who covers Angel City in Los Angeles, they had to be able to put booties in seats.
Right.
Like, get 16,000 people to say, we're going to come to games every day. I don't know how big the stadium is in Dallas, but you got to get Dallas, Texas people to want to buy tickets.
Right.
So whoever you're building around, it can't be. They will need to be able to start. They need to be able to go. They need to be able to play as many minutes as Paige. And so it's getting clear the obvious choices.
Yeah, that's real. I mean, Fleurantin in that category makes a very compelling argument, but a very top pick.
But I will say this: you don't have time to see if it works out. You don't have time to see. You don't have time to see what I'm saying is you don't have time to see. You already got a generational talent. Whoever else, do they work out with Paige? You don't have time to see if somebody can develop and also work out with Paige.
That's fair.
And the only person who's been playing with Paige is Azzi. So, because the problem with Dallas is they've messed up so bad so many times. You got a once in a lifetime. chance to fix your franchise one time.
Yeah, just go ahead and do it. Like, just go ahead and do it. At this point, like, what do you have to lose? Your reputation is already in the trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on.
And I mean, the other thing is, yeah, like you said, you had so many superstars, well, so many phenomenal leave, right? You have to prove that y'all have fixed yourselves.
Gotta prove it.
You're gonna have to go slightly young anyway, but you also need to win so that you attract people.
Gotta win now. Yeah,
so you got to get veterans to get on board to want to come play with the players you have, you know? So
I feel you. Riri talking about, I'm not mad at Kurt Miller's decision. He's been smart enough to trade players and get draft capital. Exactly. But Greg Bibb, on the other hand, has always been problematic. And listen, that's how a lot of people in Dallas feel. I mean, that's just how people feel. And the track record is a little suspect. So like you said, Sky, I think all of us in our own way, right, have said this. This can go a long way in building the trust. And like, you can't assume that you're going to have it. Yes, Paige and Azzi as a combo would go a long way as far as the endearment, how you can market that and package it. But if you don't win with those two, people are going to start looking at you funny. They're going to start looking at you funny because them two, yes, they got to get used to the W, and they know how to win. They know how to win, and their game is, with some room for adjustment, it's pretty pro ready. Not 100%, but more than half baked. You know what I'm saying, Brian? It's more than half baked, which is why I'm excited, because Brian and I get to go to a Barclays Center on Saturday.
Early
it's a nice little, early in the morning, crack it down in, get the bacon, egg, and cheese on the way into the office, which will be Barclays Center for us, because it's the Women's Champions Classic. UConn is going to be taking on Iowa. And then a game I'm really excited about, which is going to be Louisville and Tennessee. This is these games do count towards their overall record, but as we start to see, and I love what we're seeing more of it on the women's side, they kind of have these showcases that bring women's basketball to places where maybe there's not an NCAA team. And Brian, as you know, the closest like real contender in the NCAA Division I that we got in New York is Rutgers, which is not in New York at all. But apparently New York claims everything in Jersey anyway, so we might as well claim them. But then also Syracuse.
It's a train right away.
I'm telling you. And then you got UConn. You know, the UConn fam, they be coming to the city to see their Huskies play. You know, Sky, you got to see Azzi in the flesh. Take on USC, a USC team that, you know, they're going through their struggles, but still a ranked team. What do folks need to know about Azzi and what we see on the screen and even in the box score versus what we see live?
So I had a friend go to the USF game, and she was like, what you see on TV does not do justice for how dominant they are in person. And that is true in person watching. So, like, I know people are box score watching statistics, but as an engineer, I tell you, data means nothing without context. You got to watch it in person to understand. They are like, because like TV angles, they don't show you like stuff is happening. Like, you don't see how, like, an example for Azzi, how she's not just sitting there like, pass it to me open. She gets herself open. She's running around. Jazzy Davidson had to chase her around for the whole game. She got blessed into playing Division I basketball, playing against a really good guard. But what you don't see on TV is the dominance from the size standpoint, physicality, and then how good they are on defense. I think they are better on defense now than they were in April. And so, it was going to take a while for them to figure stuff out with new pieces, and then people starting who weren't starting, you know, changes of roles. But it's like they figured that out, and then they locked people down. So even in person, they were missing shots and stuff. They were sloppy at times, but they still were dominating USC. And so they were struggling, like struggle. They are really fast, pretty physical, high basketball IQ, collectively. Seeing how they run through stuff, how they set stuff up, and they go really fast. and it's like full court press the entire game. It is not let off.
I mean, everything that you said, Brian, makes me believe that we're going to also see a very fit UConn team. USA basketball just had their training camp, and then that led into Unrivaled. And what we hear players that are playing in the W season and obviously are not playing overseas is that whether it was at camp or going into Unrivaled, they have to get game fit, right? There's a difference between being in good physical shape and being game fit. Right. And especially if you're going up a player that's running all over the place, sometimes as a decoy, but other times to get open, and you never know when it's a deke and when it's not, Brian. It sounds like Azzi Fudd, as we mentioned, is truly that backcourt version of Maya Moore in that respect as well. The stamina.
Yeah. I love watching guards who can really get their stuff off the ball. And someone, as Sky was mentioning, who's always moving on the go, not really just stationary and just trying to get their buckets in one way. So I feel like that makes her incredibly pro-adaptable. You can plug her into any sort of context and trust her to do the right thing. And especially for a guard who's strong in the way that she is, she can finish at the rim. She can do all these things well. So it makes for an exciting watch. I'm really excited to see UConn in person. As Sky was mentioning, the dominance is one thing to see on like a TV or just like catching up on the scores the next morning, but being able to sort of like watch it happen in real time, you sort of see the execution, you see the attention to detail, and you see the sort of like pursuit of excellence in a way, because UConn, they had their biggest challenge so far was the Friday night thriller against Michigan a few weeks back, where it was the game of the year where Michigan almost pulled it off late, but we saw Azzi and Connecticut maintain just enough resolve, have just enough in the tank to go one step higher than a really good Michigan team. I think a game Iowa squad who played Iowa State down to the wire a couple games ago, they get to really sort of get another chance at the apple against an elite opponent. So they're going to be really excited. The atmosphere is going to be big because great basketball arena and Barclays Center. So I think being able, just for the Iowa side, this is a great challenge and opportunity for them to really sort of make things shake and show that they can go on a good tournament run if they have a good showing today. And for UConn, it's another chance for players like Azzi to really build on the success they've had, really play off the ball well in what they do, and be able to adjust to a tough matchup. Because from here, they're going to go into Big East play, and they'll run shop over there. So a game like this is really going to be a good opportunity before the holiday break in front of a jazzed up crowd to really sort of take what they've built earlier in the season and apply it against another tournament team. That's hard.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the one of the matchups just here. It's going to be December 20th at Barclays Center, Brooklyn, New York. You can watch it live on Fox, but it's again the Women's Champions Classic. This is the second annual. But before we get Iowa UConn at 1:30 Eastern time, we get the Lady Volunteers versus the Louisville Cardinals. Excuse me. Now, last year, Louisville and UConn went head to head, and Jeff Walz he literally said that his team played like shit and that he took full responsibility. That's real. I was there and I was like, oh, he just said that, and he did. But he was like, this is such a great event and my team didn't show up. And so there's been a chip on the shoulder of the Cardinals really since that game that I've been keeping an eye on. They were a tournament team, and we've seen them be Brian, but literally a Final Four team. And they just weren't able to grab onto that and keep it. And then you have the Lady Volunteers, of course, who are a historic program. Before there was UConn, there was Pat Summitt and, the Lady Vols. And so I think that we're seeing them through their defensive identity want to try and find their way back to a perennial, deep, Sweet 16, Elite 8, work their way back to a Final Four and then eventually championship team. And I think that matchup is going to be really good because both of these teams, their offensive numbers are very similar. I think that, you know, a lot of people, Sky, are saying that the Louisville though has the better, they have a stronger schedule and have been successful at that schedule nonetheless, or no less, excuse me. They have a stronger strength of schedule at this time in the season than Tennessee does, and so that might give them the edge. But Sky, I mean, what do you make of this matchup? We're gonna give our predictions for both matchups in a minute, but like, how would you break this one down from what you know about these squads?
So I watched Louisville play UConn, and then a couple other Louisville games, and then watch Tennessee play a variety of teams. Honestly, is which team wants to show up tomorrow, their full selves, less. Okay, from a coaching standpoint, we coach well, game plan well, but then players execute. Whoever executes the best will probably win. It could go either way, because it's like Louisville takes steps forwards, then it's like step back. Then Tennessee is the hockey line changes are blowing my mind, but they work and then they don't work.
Yeah, so, they work until they don't, right?
Yeah, they work until it's like it's just doing too much. So I mean, you can go either way. It depends on. It could come down to what team wants it more and what team makes the less mistakes.
I mean, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I wrote over at cbssports.com. We did our previews, so I'll give mine, but mine are published out there. But you know, we said it's going to be probably the tightest game between the two. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, this is going to be a close game. As I mentioned, Jeff Walz had to say his team played like shit and then apologize for it. I don't think he's going to want to do that 2 years in a row. Right. On the other side, Jan Jansen, in her first time as or her first season as the head coach at Iowa, had been with Iowa. That was her 25th season overall, but her first as head coach last year, got beat by Tennessee. Tennessee forced the Hawkeyes into 30 turnovers, Brian, last year. And their defense down the stretch with a little bit of, you know, once you keep someone in a game, you give them a little bit of hope. They started making buckets, and lo and behold, they get that win. So you got two teams on this side, or on this side of the bracket, so to speak, in that first matchup, Brian, that lost and might not want to have to go through that again.
Yeah, and I think
last year, just to be clear, at last year's Classic.
Yeah. And I think what's always difficult about morning basketball is that it takes time to like get yourself acclimated to the early sort of setup. So we're getting in around 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So the players are going to start doing their prep super early. First for playing in an arena they're not super familiar with in Barclays Center. Like, it's so different when you're at your home gym where you're sort of used to the flow of the building. You're used to so many different things. Now you're on a neutral site, and it's first game up, going to be a lot of early nerves, good crowd coming in, sort of like getting acclimated in that way. So if the first 5 minutes are like super jagged, like, don't worry, like
it's gonna be all right. Yeah,
it's hey. If you go to work in the morning, I had it this morning too, where I'm in the office, I'm like, oh God, it takes me like a few hours to like jazz up. Like, I'd say give it about a second quarter, they're gonna jazz up, and then we'll see really elite play. So if it's low scoring early, just guys,
don't worry about it.
Refill, we gotta go.
The bacon, egg, and cheese ain't kicked in yet. Relax. Calmate. All right, now it's time for predictions. We'll start with the first matchup. Again, I'm going to stick with what I had over at cbssports.com, and I'm taking Tennessee for a lot of the reasons I already broke down, but I'm taking Tennessee. So, Sky, who you got?
I'll hold it down for the ACC and say Louisville will win.
All right. We got one Tennessee, and I didn't do this on purpose, y'all, but I am wearing an orange headband. I am wearing an orange
Rocky top.
Listen. All right, Brian, you're the tiebreaker here. Who are you taking in the first matchup? What's your prediction?
Similar to Erica, I unintentionally shaded where I'm going because I have a Nashville sweater on, and I didn't. I was like, oh, this is a good sweater. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick Tennessee. Wait, I'm wearing their colors, and so I'm gonna go Tennessee. I think it's gonna be close.
Yeah, it's gonna be close.
I think
It's gonna be
yeah.
close. All right. So it's 2-1, according to our very unofficial tally. Tennessee will be victorious over Louisville in game 1. All right, game number 2. Azzi Fudd, who will eventually be a Dallas Wing, just the one, not both wings, and not a whole bucket, but Azzi Fudd and the UConn Huskies. Taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Hannah Stuelke versus a little Sarah Strong action in this game. We'll start with you this time, Brian. Who you got winning?
I've got UConn by about, I'd say, I think Iowa's going to keep it close for a little bit, but I feel like UConn gets it by like 18 or so. Like the talent disparity showcase game in New York. You know UConn's going to be deep in that building, so that's going to give the Huskies extra juice. It's a neutral game, but really it's a everywhere UConn goes in a lot of places it's a home game, so that crowd's going to give them that extra juice. I think UConn has too much talent for Iowa to overcome. They're going to put up a good fight, but I think UConn really sort of gradually pulls away, and then they win comfortably.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm going to say Iowa can probably stay in that 8 to 12 point range, but I think UConn will probably win by at least 14 when it's all said and done. Shea, or not Shea, Sky from Shea Butter FC. Listen, as tired, y'all. All right, Sky from Shea Butter FC. Who are you taking, UConn or Iowa? Think real hard.
Probably UConn. This will be UConn's third game in a week. But they did rest a lot the last game against Marquette.
Yeah.
He set Sarah and Azzi down. They only played 22 minutes. So yeah, Iowa, I mean, they had a week to prepare. I still say from a speed standpoint, dominant standpoint, it's just gonna be too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a W. We'll see from the jump. It could be a big W. It could be a closer-ish W, but it's gonna be a lot of character building. And I think
character building.
So even similar to like if they were to play Michigan again, I don't think Michigan wins like that. Like because even with the USC game, they were missing shots, but the defense carried them through tiredness, and they were sluggish. Yeah. So I don't know what that bodes for Iowa tomorrow.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Is so good. Yeah. The defense is so good and fast and dominant. You'll see it tomorrow, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's UConn. Obviously, we all agree on that, and I think we all are like, but that doesn't mean that this isn't a good Iowa squad. They definitely have some things to figure out, but they work through when they're not there offensively, whether it's because they're making turnovers or their shots aren't falling. They can keep in a game and keep a game more than respectable. They can keep it close through what they're able to do defensively. And so when the offense starts clicking more regularly, I think, don't count out Iowa. And that kind of was the story. It went underreported, especially since there was a lot of folks were enamored with the storyline of what will Iowa do post Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin, Money Martin. Okay, let's go. But I think that the steady progression was missed from Iowa last year, and that's how they end up getting to be a tournament team. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what version of Iowa we get, and I think this will propel them to where they're going to be come March, April. But it's UConn. But either way, make sure you stay tuned in with Black Rosie Media, either right here on YouTube or of course on social media, because Brian and I will be in the house, so we got to do something. I'll find a box to stand on and we'll do some kind of video, just so I don't look like the munchkin.
Hey, how tall are you? Are you 6'7"?
6'7"? No.
You 6'2"?
6'2".
Okay.
That's taller than me by a decent amount. So yeah. No, but jokes aside, we will be there. We're excited to always have something that we can do for social media, and then I'm sure that Brian will have something for you curated on the wonderful women's basketball roundup, our twice weekly newsletter. And listen, Sky, I know Shea Butter FC, we pump y'all in our newsletter twice weekly. So what y'all got cooking? You got the newsletter, and what else coming down the pike?
Oh, we're gonna drop an episode. We're supposed to do a crossover. We're gonna leave it at that. When are we doing this crossover? Because we haven't dropped the episode in forever. But with a certain Diaspora United, it's supposed to happen.
All right.
So soon.
Okay, it's coming. It's coming. You know, I know the soccer community on the women's side dealing with CBA stuff, just like us in women's basketball. On the men's side, lots of conversation about FIFA. Apparently, because I have in case y'all didn't know, if you join up with American Airlines, you get a FIFA ticket window. Because I definitely got an email about it today.
Yep.
So look at that. Yep. And through US Soccer, I got one too. I was like, fam, I ain't going to that, but thank you so much for thinking of me. But we know that the football community on the brothers' side is dealing with all of that, and we look forward to doing this a little bit more. We got to get you on here talking basketball, talking hoops with us, and we still have something that we got to put together. As I love to say, I love a strong crossover, and we might turn that into some content gold over here at Black Rosie Media. So y'all got to stay tuned. But for Sky from Shea Butter FC and Brian Fleurantin from many places, of course, including the curator of the Women's Basketball Roundup, my name is Erica L. Ayala, also known as the head Black Rosie in charge. This has been an episode of Gotta Get Up, a podcast for New York Liberty fans. Brian and I, at least we get to look at the first ever banner for the New York Liberty, that being, of course, the Kathy Cup. And then they also got a championship banner too. We'll look at those banners and wonder what could have been, and hopefully what will eventually be under DeMarco. But we have a whole podcast episode on what we think about that. Go check that out. We will catch you on the next one. All right, y'all. Please subscribe, like, share it with your friends. Clip, especially when we're being ridiculous and cutting up here. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.